What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey, episode number 179, presented by the Barroom Network. It is the home of everything relating to the greatest sport in the world, the sport of hockey. My name is Vinnie Parisi, and I am a true believer the Devils are going to win the Stanley Cup. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he is the king of all beans. Beanstalk, Jake McBean. What's up?
I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Do you know why I'm really excited?
Why are you really excited?
Today is the day I get to meet Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers.
Ah, really?
Got front row tickets to see his comedy show tonight. And then we got a meet and greet with him after. Very excited. Very excited.
Wow.
He's so
Very,
funny.
very
Dude.
cool.
He's so funny.
And that's he left the four, right? To like do this type of stuff.
Well, he left the four because he was having marital problems.
Mhm.
So with his wife and kids. Now his wife, they're on good terms now, and I think they might even be back together. But he left it for that reason, and then partially because I think he was going to do stuff like this too. So I think it was a mix of both. And he was my favorite of the four, like hands down.
Yeah.
I think he's everybody's favorite of the four.
Yeah, because he's got the biggest balls.
Yeah, I mean, when we were over by Joey's the other day, we did like a ranking, and everybody had Joe number one, and then it was like basically the same. Joe. He's the funniest. He does the most stuff too. He's not afraid to show his big hairy belly.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
he had the biggest balls. He hardly. I feel like whenever he was the loser, it was like rigged against him.
Oh, 100%. So I'm
so
looking
funny.
forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, you're gonna need to come on and review that. I'm ready to hear all about it.
Also, really quick, BP, before you go on, I'm wearing my polar bear shirt because I want him to look at me and ask me about it, so I can show him my polar bear.
Oh wait, you're gonna lift up your belly?
He does his belly.
Oh, that is so funny.
Joey's like, I'm gonna see you on Instagram scrolling through.
I was gonna say, I honestly think there's a 100% chance that happens.
That's what Dylan said too. He goes, "You're just asking for him to say something." He goes, "You're throwing the bait and he's hooking on."
Yeah, he's catching that bait. I actually, you need to have like G filming it secretly because that is going to happen. That is 100% going to happen.
It's gonna go viral.
We're all gonna see Frankie's fucking fat hairy belly all over the fucking internet.
You're gonna be scrolling through your feed and take a double take and be like, "What? Who's that bean?"
Oh my god, that is so funny. Freaking Joe Gatto and Frank Mueller going viral on TikTok together. That is so funny. That is truly hilarious. All right, Frank. Let's get started. We are going to get moving into the hockey world in period number 1. Welcome to period 1, Frank. Washington Capitals off to a real good start this season. Kind of surprising in a way, but then I heard someone say they have 8 players on the roster that are different from last year. That's like half turnover.
Really?
And then the guys that stayed are like Ovi, Wilson, Carlson, like the top dogs.
The old guys.
Strome, like the guys who have been there, the impactful guys, I guess I should say. So you're replacing all the ones that weren't as impactful with other impactful players. It's really not all that surprising, but they're taking a little bit of a hit right now. Alexander Ovechkin is going to be down for about a month with his lower body injury. Frank, I expect you to come on and be real professional about this and, be a completely normal, act just like a normal person.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to say I knew something like this was coming, right? Because you can't predict it, but I mean, he's missed 4 to 6 weeks with the fractured left fibula. I mean, this is also something that Ovechkin has not had to deal with his entire career. Never. Uncharted waters. He's only missed 35 games ever due to an injury in his 20-season career. That right
5%.
That's an astounding
100%.
feet and just really shows his overall durability throughout his career. Even his teammates were like, Ovechkin could be sidelined for this stretch of time. That's ridiculous. The earliest he could return, December 20th against the Carolina Hurricanes. The latest would be January 2nd against the Minnesota Wild. That's if, obviously, he stays to that 4 to 6 week time frame. But now
that's the end of the 6 weeks, Frank?
January 2nd, yeah.
That's the like if it takes six full weeks.
6 weeks, it would be January 2nd against the Minnesota Wild.
That's not going to happen.
It's the record goal chase, we're put to a halt. What do you think? I mean, you obviously probably still thinks he breaks it this year, but
okay. So here's
a wrinkle.
No, here's the thing for me with this whole Ovechkin thing, Frank. For the last 2 years with your ass, I've never been unrealistic about it. He exceeded my expectations to start this season. But he's leading the league in goals. He'll probably only be in like 10th place when he comes back even. There's not going to be more than 30 players with 15 goals by December 31st. Like, it's just unbelievable what he's done. I saw there was like the night he got hurt against Utah. He went out as the league's leading goal scorer. He had 15. I think Draisaitl and Reinhart both had 13. He
might have had 2 goals in that game too, right?
He did. He had 5 goals in 2 games. He had 411 career goals when Draisaitl and Reinhart joined the NHL.
That's crazy.
So it's just unbelievable how long this guy. Listen, even when before he got hurt and he had 15 goals and he was on pace for like 65, I still in my mind hadn't convinced myself that it was a lock that it happens this year. Anybody who watches the NHL, anybody who watches sports knows that people are hot and cold. You'll have this type of run, then you'll go 5 without a goal, and then you'll basically be consistent the rest of the way from there. That happens in sports. You're never as good and you're never as bad as you are on any given hot or cold stretch. So I wasn't positive that it would be done by the end of the year. He's got 3 years left on his deal. He's 39 years old and he needs 28 more goals to become the all-time leading goal scorer. I don't care if he crawls to the end of the this thing's Jover and he's going to play unless he gets freaking shot. Like there's no way he doesn't come. And who has any reason to think that he's not going to come back and be like a little earlier than expected? I'm leaning towards the 4 weeks.
Well, here's the thing, though. He's never had to deal with something like this. So does he come back like a slug? We've never seen Ovechkin deal with an injury like this.
100%. And he's 39.
And he's 39. So like that's tough. That's why I'm leaning it takes closer to 6 weeks because he's older and his body's going to take longer to heal. At least it's not broken and it's only fractured. That's huge. If it was broken, like rip. Probably.
On the season, he'd be done for the year. Yeah. And then he would need 28 all of next year. Then you start thinking about like pushing it to the follow. Like there's all sorts of things that could delay it. It's just like he's right now so productive that I have no reason to think that like everything I said about his shot. Does he move like he used to? No. But like, does he just go to the one-timer and no one could stop it anyway? It's honestly remarkable how much he's been scoring so far in this season.
Isn't it crazy? Like he hasn't had to deal with this, and then now when he's 28 goals away, it happens.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, but every time I told you October of 25 or November of 25, I think was like my ultimate prediction. He might do it before that, but it did kind of take into account the fact that he might not play 95% of his games anymore. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that he has, I think Jack Hughes could play 1,000 straight games and he still wouldn't have the percentage of games played as eligible for as Ovechkin. I mean, you have to kind of stay healthy to even get close to milestones like this or like career totals like this. Crosby would be cruising to 2,000 points instead of maybe getting it at the tail end if he didn't miss 2 years with a concussion.
35 games.
Oh, Ovechkin? Oh, I know.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
20-year career.
Yeah.
With COVID.
And yeah, with COVID. And I don't think knowing that resume, I just don't see him letting this linger. Like the second the doctor says it's safe for him to do it, he'll get back out there regardless of what the pain level is. I really, really believe that Ovechkin is like, I remember when he was like in the, early days of being a captain, we had to be like just out of high school or whatever. Someone asked him about why he never misses games, how he's always healthy. He goes, Russian machine never breaks. It's just, this guy's been on a heater for 20 something years. I say, Sid and Ovi. I don't know if I'll ever love a hockey era more. My love for hockey grows every day. But I don't know if I'll ever love a hockey era more than the Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin era. This has been great. It's a damper on the whole NHL season. The whole world. You got people who don't even watch freaking hockey, like counting down the Ovechkin goals. I'm seeing Big Cat from Barstool Sports who watches like 10 hockey games a season. He's tweeting every time Ovechkin scores. Jersey Jerry's talking. Everybody's watching Ovechkin, loving Ovechkin right now. The fact that Jake McBain hasn't been released by Utah yet for committing such a crime, because there was a little, I'm not saying he like intended to injure Ovi, but there definitely wasn't good intentions there. The Utah Hockey Club was just getting absolutely mollywopped by Ovechkin in the Capitol, so there was definitely something strange there. I honestly think you might have put the hit out.
When he got injured, did you like, oh, Bean hexed him? He hexed him.
I'm like, that's why I said Jake McBean. Like you paid him to do it. But okay, so Ovechkin. Now it's even more likely that if he does break the record this year, it's against your favorite team, the Blackhawks, on April 4th. That's the funniest part about this whole thing, is the injury might make that actually. He was going a little too fast to break it right in your face against the freaking Blackhawks. So that would be really funny if that actually did end up happening.
Do you think he got injured because this is his best start to a season he's ever had, I think? Is it just like, is there correlation to him like doing too much to where it's like, now I'm going to get injured because I'm playing harder than I ever have before at 39?
I have heard, Frank, and this makes me wonder about the 1,000 thing. I have heard that he wants to get this thing done. He's like ready to like live his life and like go back to Russia and like, but he's going to get it done. Like he wants to. And then, I do think there's a chance that he's going a little extra hard, and that's possibly why. But then again, if he keeps doing this, why not delay going home to make some more money to end your career? Because like if he's 41, 42 years old, making $5 million, scoring 25, 30 goals a year for whatever team, that's a nice little way to end your career too. So I don't know. Ovechkin, we're going to miss him for a couple weeks here, but unless he comes back a little early, he won't be at the United Center on December 21st or whatever it was that I'm supposed to see him. I hope he's back by that game.
He could take he could take a few extra weeks.
I hope he gets in that game. That'll be right around like the 5-week mark. Actually,
you don't want to bring him back too early. If you have to take 10 to 11 weeks.
Well, yeah. If I were you, I'd want to delay it. But like, would you even want to delay it into next year? Honestly, the whole summer bags tournament in Door County. You have to see Ovechkin in your head every morning when you wake up. Like if you get it done in April, we make fun of you for a couple weeks, and then you got the rest of your summer ahead of you.
If it
happens, if you wait until next year, like October, November, we're gonna continue making fun of you all throughout the summer. If he's like 5 away, when we're in Door County, I'm gonna bring it up to you every single one of these days.
He's not gonna do
what happens.
This is the chair. He's not breaking it. This is what
You are unreal. I was hoping you'd come on here and give some dumbass take about the whole thing. I know you're low key. Anybody who likes hockey is like low key pumped that. Remember when Judge was going to break Maris's record 2 seasons ago?
That was crazy.
And they cut. They're going to do that.
They cut that. But you can't do that with
every
hockey.
Every time Washington's playing,
they'll be like ESPN game 7 games in a row.
No, but if Washington is going on the power play or something,
They
It's
probably
going in
would
the
do that.
corner. It's probably going on the corner of a screen if
Yeah.
if they're down a goal with the goalie pulled or up a goal with the goalie pulled, and he can throw one into the end. If I'm Carberry, he doesn't see the ice. If he's on, he
I'd be
can tie
pissed.
the
That's
record.
how
I'd be
if he
pissed too.
broke the record on an empty
I
net.
think it's okay if he ties the record on an empty netter. I wouldn't prefer it. I actually want him to tie it and break it in the same game. And I also think breaking it in overtime would be like a legendary hockey moment, especially if it was like against Pittsburgh or Philly or even the Devils or Rangers, one of those teams that they played. Ovi scored most of his goals against. It's crazy. That's the Devils' next opponent. No Ovi goal tomorrow for against the Devils. I get like happy mad when he scored a goal against the Devils earlier this year. But yeah, it's been fun. Where do you see Washington playing from now until December without him?
That's a good question because they're having a great start to the regular season. Roughly a quarter through the season, they're third in the Metropolitan Division. Losing your top goal scorer on any team that averages over 4 goals, like the Capitals average over 4 goals per game.
No, Ovechkin's not the only one doing the scoring. Connor McMichael has 14
Connor
goals, 13
McMichael
goals.
and Dylan Strome. Dylan Strome's playing
Yeah.
well. But other than them, I mean, they're not really performing like on the bottom tier of their team, their bottom 6 or whatever. But losing your top goal scorer on any team's tough. Losing your top goal scorer on the Capitals as Ovechkin, who is having as good as a year as he is even tougher. Now, you're going to have other guys step up, obviously, and try to fill that void. Pierre-Luc Dubois, he needs to start cooking. And it's kind of funny because the first game without Ovechkin in the lineup, he scored yesterday, his second goal of the season, in their 2-1 loss to Colorado. Stuff like that needs to happen. Guys like Dubois have to step up and try to fill this void. To only score 1 goal for a team that averages over 4 goals a game in Ovi's first game gone, that's something to keep an eye out for if you're a team in the Metropolitan Division. This is a chance for teams to try and jump him. This was a team that realistically was challenging for the division early on. And now they got the Rangers on their heels. Obviously, Rangers playing very well right now. 2 points behind the Capitals. They're on their heels right now. The Capitals are in danger of falling out of the top 3. And based on their performance yesterday without Ovi in the lineup, if I'm a Capitals fan, there's something to be worried. They've really heavily relied on Ovi. They've relied on Connor McMichael and Dylan Strome, and now other guys need to step up. But like I said, the bottom 6 and the bottom forwards on this team, the depth, really haven't been producing. So it's kind of magnificent that they're scoring over 4 goals per game as a team.
Listen, as a Devils guy, I don't mind if they lose a little bit while Ovi's out. When they come back, I'd prefer them to be one of the other Metro teams because I want Ovi to break the record ASAP. But it's obviously easier if the team's better. I think Dylan Strome assisted on the first 11 of Ovechkin's 15 goals, and that ties Nicholas Backstrom for the most consecutive assists on an Ovechkin goal. The fact that they each did it. Yeah, 100%. And John Carlson, one of my all-time favorite World Juniors players, just absolutely hammering it home this season too from the back end, making those perfect passes for 1-Ts on the power play. It's been working in Washington. Again, as the Devils guy, wouldn't mind seeing them, take a little bit of a hit offensively. The Devils play them tomorrow. Would love to get a big win against them. We'll touch on the Devils in a second, but to wrap up Washington, hopefully when Ovi does come back, he is able to kind of keep the pace going a little bit, help Washington be one of the more exciting teams. It's good for the game, dude. It's good for hockey. The day he does it, whenever it is, April 4th, he's going to put hockey on the map even more than it kind of has already become. So see you soon, OV. Frank, you ready to move on to I'm sure you are, other NHL topics in period number 2?
I'm ready.
Hit it. Oh my God. Did you see that goal that Jesper Bratt scored yesterday?
I'm assuming you mean the
Jack
second one.
Hughes, no, the first one. It wasn't anything Bratt did special. It was, I wrote it on the sheet, Jack Hughes assist of the year.
Yeah, no, I know. I thought it was the one where Hughes flipped it over Slavin.
Frank, that was nice. That was nice, right? He's Jack Hughes. That was nice. That's his second best assist in the game. Here, I'll send it to you right now, and I want to watch your live reaction. You got to watch it closely, though. It's one of those things.
It's funny because when you put that, I watched all 3 goals, and I watched the first goal, and I'm like, all right, Hughes didn't do anything special here.
If you don't notice it, it's here. I got you.
Are you sending it to my phone or are you sending it to Twitter?
I will send it to your. Which do you prefer?
If you send it to Twitter, I could put it up on the stream.
Oh yeah, I will do that then. Frank, Andre Palat collects the puck in the center of. It's kind of one of those things. I could see why you would miss it, and like when you slow it down and watch the slow replay, you can clearly tell Jack did it on purpose. Andre Palat makes a little shot pass through the straight center lane to the net. Mm-hmm. And Jack Hughes bats it out of midair to Bratt. And Bratt tucks it into the net. And I think that might be one of the most skilled plays I've ever seen a New Jersey Devils player make. That wasn't an actual goal. Like his goal. Yeah, you're good. Take your time getting it up. It's one of the more complicated things I can ever honestly say I've seen a Devils player do. And like I said, if you're not really looking for it or like we're not watching it on super slow-mo, you'll miss it because it kind of looks like the puck deflects to Bratt. Okay, so you see.
It's intercepted. Oh, good play by Andre Palat. He fires.
So Andre Palat, he takes the shot, and you can't tell from that angle. Hughes bats it out of the air to Bratt.
Oh, right there.
I can't believe, and it was kind of right after Jack turned the puck over too, but I can't believe that Hughes bats it out of midair to Bratt like that. And he's looking right at Bratt. Exactly. There are slower versions on the thing. And people would say, oh, he didn't do that on purpose. The reason I know he did it on purpose is because he is looking directly at Bratt. He angles the stick. He angles the stick to Bratt, not to deflect it on net. There is no doubt in my mind that this is one of the prettiest plays I've ever seen a Devils player.
This is the angle you could really see it right there. Yeah.
Yeah. He bumps it right to Bratt, and that is 100% Jack Hughes looking for the assist rather than the goal there.
Other angles, it's hard.
Oh my God! It looks like it's just a sputtering puck, but you could see Jack deflect it. And when it happened, Ken Danico thought that it was, just a deflection to Bratt from the Palat shot. He was actually giving Palat the props on the goal, but then they slowed it down, and Ken Danico goes, Bryce, Jack Hughes did that on purpose. He tipped it out of midair to Jesper Bratt. And I'm just like, I can't believe this kid plays for the Devils. That is just unbelievable to have a player like that.
And that's what you get when you have your 2 top scorers for the Devil on the season playing the way that they are this year. Like that, it was a 6-point night for Bratt and Hughes. They collectively had 6 points between the two of them, and they got that huge win over Carolina. But that's what you get when you have your 2 highest scorers this season. On the same play, things are going your way. I mean, they just make stuff happen like that. That was really cool. I thought the second assist by Hughes was good too. Flipped it over Slavin, and Bratt hit it out of midair.
An elite. Slavin's elite. He's a top 20 defenseman in the NHL. He's top 5 if you're strictly looking at defense. And that was incredible too. But Bratt gets credit for dancing around into his open space there and then taking a rifle of a shot. Bratt gets credit for kind of knowing Hughes is goofy enough to pull off some shit like that too, because his stick was in the perfect spot to bank in off the Hughes pass. I feel like, some people's instinct would be to crash the net harder instead of be anticipating a pass from there. But you wonder if they work on things like that in practice. I'm not at Devils practice, but it's really sick to see Jack do stuff like that. You see Connor do it, Matthews, McKinnon. The Devils have a guy like that. and it makes me so happy. I didn't write this down, Frank, but I just thought about it. TSN releases their ranking of the best under 23 players that are associated with an NHL team every year. It's like the top 50. And that means you have to be drafted or signed, but most likely drafted. Like Gavin McKenna or Haggins don't count. Otherwise, they'd be on the list, but they don't count. Jack Hughes was 2 last year. Connor Bedard was 1. They flipped them this year. And I'm here to tell you, I think that's a little crazy. I don't know if the Devils wouldn't trade Hughes for Bedard straight up, but they might in like 4 years. I think people who are, and I see it a lot, man, people poo-pooing Bedard. Grow up. This kid is so skilled. He's so crazy. He's obsessed with being the best. He does his weird little spinorama dance before at the end of every warm-up. He's the last person on the ice. The effort is unbelievable. His motor is always running, which you don't always see in the super skilled guys like that. Jack Hughes, who just pulled off some shit like that, and he's got 25 points in 22 games, is going to blow past 100 points this season if he stays healthy. The Devils will probably be in consideration for the top of the Metropolitan Division. Jack Hughes was borderline terrible in his rookie season. Bedard was not. In his second season, Hughes struggled a little bit more. He kind of got a little hurt. Bedard's kind of going through something similar. He's not hurt right now, but he's struggling to score, I would think is fair to say. Dude, Connor Bedard's going to be pulling off this kind of stuff in 4 years, just like Hughes.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
I have no doubt in my mind. I don't know how you were feeling about it, but I see a lot of Connor Bedard discourse on Twitter.com that is not friendly. It is not. I'm like, what do you think is going to happen? He has the most assists, or no, he's 4th all time in Blackhawk assists by a teenager. The number 1 is Eddie Olczyk had 80. Patrick Kane had 65, and Brett Hall had 51. Not Brett Hall, Bobby Hall. Excuse me, Bobby Hall, 51. Well, Connor Bedard has 51 now, so he's tied for 3rd. He's going to blow past 65, and I think there's a chance he challenges for 80. If he has 60 assists this year, then he's going to be the all-time leading teenage assist man in this franchise history. All those guys went on to be amazing, incredible players. 2 of the 3 are in the Hall of Fame. You could argue Olczyk should be in the Hall of Fame. Connor Bedard is a superstar in the making. There's
a lot of recency bias by a lot of the common fans who don't really just dial into hockey. And that's why.
Was Jack Hughes good in his first couple years? He sure was better. He sure was better in his first and second and third year.
And the Devils had better pieces, I'd say, than the Hawks do right now. The team they went on.
Oh, yeah. Especially Nico. Because Jack was there. The coach got fired. GM got fired. Nico had that 1 year with Hall where Hall won MVP. And yeah, and listen, Nico, his ceiling isn't as high as Bedard's or Hughes's offensively, but like he's been a more consistently good player from the start. Sometimes guys like Bedard and Hughes, and the Nate Dogg had 30-something points in his second season. Now he's got 30 points already. I mean, it's unbelievable how quickly people just make these assumptions, and we live in like a hot take world, but like make your hot takes make sense at least. Tell me a football team that's good is going to choke in the playoffs. That's like a good hot take. And these hot takes where you're like 19-year-old Connor Bedard stinks. Shut up. He's got like 17 points.
And then when he has 100 points in a couple of years or next year, whatever the case may be,
they'll be all about him.
Oh, this guy's the best player they've ever had. He's incredible. You guys are crazy for thinking he stinks. I would have never said it. Like, you're going to get those people too who just, it's the recency bias from these guys. If he's doing good, they're going to say he's amazing. If he's doing bad in the time being, they're going to say he sucks and they should trade him and he's bad.
Yeah, that's what it's all dumb.
It's like that in any sport, though. People who think they know what they're talking about and think they know sports don't really know that much.
Yeah, when you watch one team and the Hawks are the only team you watch, you are kind of underwhelmed because you heard Bedard was a generational talent, and he gets comparisons to Connor McDavid, who got hurt his rookie season and then really didn't get going. And you know what? I am confident in saying Connor McDavid's a different animal. I do not think that Connor Bedard or Jack Hughes or I don't think any of them are Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid's so much faster than all of them, and he has been this whole time. But that if you're the second best player in the league, you could win the Stanley Cup. Like, it's Connor Bedard is going to be right there in a couple years. He needs to get a little bit stronger. He needs to keep working on his faceoffs. I don't love putting him on the wing. Everybody keeps suggesting it, but the Hawks are so desperate at center, and I think he'll learn. I hated when they put Hughes on the wing when he was going through similar struggles. The last game the Devils ever played before COVID, it was against Carolina. They had him on the wing, and I was so mad because he was so terrible as a wing. And then they were off for 11 months because they were one of the 7 teams that weren't invited to the bubble. So for 11 months, Hughes' most recent game was a game where he played wing and was terrible. Thank God he's good. Because I would have been so mad if the Devils messed that kid up, because I think they did everything in their power to try before they kind of fixed things in the front office and whatnot. But the same thing with Bedard. Let him play center. Let him learn. Let him suck. He'll eventually be a superstar. I have zero doubt about it.
Me too.
Frank, is Buffalo good?
No, I don't think the Buffalo Sabres are a good team, and I'll tell you why. I think they're lacking quite a few pieces defensively. When I look at their bottom 6 pairings, or not bottom 6 pairings, when I look at their bottom defensive pairings, I don't like what I see at all. Besides Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Devin Levi, James Reimer have been horrible in the games they've played in, and that right there is a huge red flag. You need to have good goalie. You need to have a good goalie tandem. And right now, I wouldn't even say they have a good goalie tandem. I think they have a very mediocre, below average goalie tandem. I think there are way too many inconsistencies from this team. They beat the Calgary Flames in a shootout, who are playing very well right now, and then they lose 7-5 to the Canadiens. You can't be giving up 7 goals to the Canadiens. And that's a game that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen started. Then after that, you rebound. You beat the pesky Blues in overtime. Then the next game, you come out and get blown out by the Flyers 5-2. Then after that, their most recent game, you rebound by shutting down the Kings 1-0 Wednesday night. Get a shutout. There are just too many inconsistencies and holes in their lineup to the point where, because of that, I can't call this team a good NHL team.
I agree. I think they're mid, right? I think the Eastern Conference sucks. I think it will be one of those years. Remember 2 years ago when the East was wrapped up in February?
Yeah.
The difference between the 8th seed and 9th seed was like 25 points in February.
I was pissed.
I think that's gonna happen to a slightly lesser extent this year, because I think Washington, Carolina, and New Jersey and New York Rangers are locks in the Metropolitan. Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay, I think, are locks in the Atlantic. And then that leaves one wild card spot, and the teams that are chasing it, like realistically, are the Boston Bruins, Buffalo Sabres, New York Islanders, and I think below them falls off quickly. Columbus Blue Jackets, Detroit Red Wings, Philly, Pittsburgh, Ottawa, and Montreal. I think the Eastern Conference sucks. And outside of those top teams that are like guaranteed to make playoffs, the middle to bottom half of this conference is so mid. And if the Bruins figure it out, they fired the coach, and which we'll touch on that in a second. If they fired the coach and all of a sudden get real hot, and they lock up one of that last playoff spot, then I think the East could really be decided so soon. And so I asked the question, does Buffalo good? Because they're in the mix right now. I think out of every team below the line right now, they're probably the best. I would take Buffalo over the Islanders because the Islanders can't hold a lead. I don't like Detroit. It's not when I say I don't like them, I love the Red Wings. Are some of my favorite games to go to watch on TV, but I don't love their chances is what I mean. They're lackluster. Patrick Kane's not playing well. Alex DeBrincat is hot and cold. Lucas Raymond's a monster. He'll be a top 20 MVP guy. But I don't love their goaltending. Their defense is whack. Moritz Seider's, I feel like, taking steps back. I'm not in on Detroit right now. I came into the year thinking there was a chance. There's that triangle, Frank. We talk about it: Buffalo, New York, or Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa. None of them. Buffalo's the closest, and maybe they will break the streak and get in. That's if the Bruins really tail off, even though they fired their coach, and I don't see that happening. So, yeah, basically, I asked, is Buffalo good, to kind of give my theory that the Eastern Conference is just dog crap, where I come over to this absolute mammoth of a Western Conference, and their teams, the Blues have played well, the Kraken have played well, the Vancouver Canucks have played well. They're all below the playoff line. If Utah Hockey Club wasn't using 5 AHL defensemen, they were in a playoff spot with ease, and now they're starting to fall back with all these injuries that they've had. They defend well, though. Even the Sharks aren't crap. Celebrini's fun they're crap, but Celebrini's fun to watch. The Hawks have Bedard, and Nashville shouldn't be this bad. So, and those are the bottom 4 teams. So, comparing the two conferences, it's not even close in my brain. And Edmonton's doing that thing again where they frickin' suck in October. I honestly think this is the 4th year in a row where they were big trash in October. Remember, Woodcroft got hired. They fired, what's his name, to hire Jay Woodcroft. And then he gets fired last year in October. They do this every year. And they'll be one of the top teams in the league by January. They're in this 8th seed right now. Vegas, they've been better than I thought. They're good. And I didn't think they'd be bad at them making playoffs, but they're cup good. They're 12-6-2. Hurdle's been, scoring again. Jack Eichel is a superstar. One of the best. He'll be a top 10 Selke guy, I think. It's just nuts. The Golden Knights are a real threat again. And then Winnipeg, Minnesota, Dallas. Yikes!
It's always Winnipeg, dude. Every time.
How about the Wild, though? They're 13-3-3.
I told you.
You said it. And listen, I like the Wild. They're one of those soft spot teams for me. Zach Parise forever. But the win over Edmonton yesterday was just unbelievable.
They're playing very well right now.
They can represent the West in the Cup. I wouldn't be surprised. Imagine when Parise and Suter come off the books. It's what are they going to do? Are they going to go try and get another center? They could spend a lot of money. That's a lot of money that's going to be freeing up for a team that's already this good.
Yeah. When does that happen? A couple years.
After this season, after this year. Now they got to pay Kaprizov, but Kaprizov already makes 9. So everybody thinks you chop, if he makes, let's say he makes 13 mil, right? He's right below McKinnon. Everybody thinks that that's taking 13 million away from their current salary cap space. That's not true. You're taking 4 million away because he already makes 9. That 9 comes off the books, and then you put it back on with the 13. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that they're just so screwed because they got to sign Kirill. No, they're not. The Wild are in probably the best shape salary cap wise than they've probably ever been. And man, wouldn't it be funny if they ended up playing the Devils in the Cup one day? Wouldn't that be something?
It's possible.
The Vinnie Parise Bowl people from 5-6 years ago would remember. Actually, look at what I have right next to me.
It could be a sign.
It's always around. What was the other thing? Oh, the Bruins fired Montgomery. What were your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of surprised. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, they're not living up to, I think, how a lot of the Bruins fans wanted them to start the season. What are they? 9-3? Yeah, they're having a rough start to the season. To fire Jimmy Boy, it's kind of a crazy move to me, but I get it. I think it's a way to light, the little fire under this team's ass to say, hey, we just got this guy fired, so we got to go out and play. We should be better than this. But at the same time, should they be better than what they are? Because last year we thought they might take a step back with losing Bergeron and Krejci, and they might be finally taking a step back. Is this the year where like it's really hitting them, where this is their time where they're going to start regressing a little bit? I don't know, but to me, I was pretty surprised that they fired him, to be honest with you.
I'm on the opposite side. I would have canned him after the Blues game.
Wow.
He's done. His contract is up after this year. He was always getting fired if the Bruins struggled. And you know what? We thought they were coming into last year going to go down a little bit because they didn't have Bergeron and Krejci, and then they had 109 points. And so you basically run back the same exact roster that had 109 points. It's not like they're that old. With Krejci, Chara, Bergeron, and Rask off the team, they're not that old anymore.
Yeah.
Marchand is like the oldest guy. And they signed Zadorov. They brought in Lindholm. So the expectation is you added a good center and a good defenseman to a team that had 109 points. You kind of shed some of the fat, I think, from last year. I do think James Van Riemsdyk, Patrick Maroon, Danton Heinen, and Jake DeBrusk were good players for the Bruins, and I think they missed them on the depth for sure. But I still think they are better in that locker room than what they've displayed so far. So the coach on an expiring contract is always going to be the one shakeup that comes, when those things are all kind of in that situation.
Is this team also, used to having two number one starting goalies, two high number one tier goalies who could start, they switch every game now. Swayman needs more of the workload. Korpisalo, he stinks. He absolutely stinks. The Bruins aren't used to that. Is it like now there's more of a toll on Swayman? He can't get the job done as the starting goalie. There was a lot of problems with Swayman contracts coming into the season. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. This team, there's a lot of question marks surrounding this team.
I'm going to blow your brains off. You say Jonas Korpisalo stinks. I say hogwash. Hogwash. Linus Ullmark with Ottawa is 4-6-1 with a 3 goals against average and an .887 save percentage. Jonas Korpisalo with the Boston Bruins is 4-2-1. He has 2 shutouts, has a 2.38 goals against average and a .911 save percentage. He has been magnificent for the Bruins so far this season. Swayman has been terrible. And there's a lot of issues that went on with their contract situation over the summer. They needed a shakeup in some way, shape, or form. Well, you're not going to trade Swayman. You just signed him. Korpisalo's not your problem. It's kind of proof that, yes, Ullmark is a good goalie and he's on a bad team in Ottawa. But it is kind of proof the way the Bruins defend did help him, and it's helping Korpisalo. It hasn't helped Swayman. He's been dog shit. But they haven't scored enough, I think, is really what needs to get going. And that includes Pastrnak, that includes Marchand, and they're hoping Joe Sacco helps bring them a little more offense. Now they come out and win 1-0 against Utah in their first game after. But I mean, I don't know. I think it needed to happen, and we'll see what direction the Bruins take, because long rebuilds haven't been working in the NHL lately. There's a lot of failure with that, where more teams like the Kings and the Capitals, who kind of rebuilt on the fly. Pittsburgh did it for a minute. The Bruins have done it. Those long Blackhawk, Senator, Red Wing. The last team to successfully do it is Colorado, and it took like 7 years. The Devils went through it. It took like 7 or 8 years. It's hard. It's not like football, I think, where teams strip it down and they get the quarterback and things turn around quickly. Those long-term – in baseball, it happens too with the Cubs and the Royals and the Astros. But, like, in hockey, the long rebuilds have been taking very long lately. The Hawks are in year like 6. And so do the Bruins want to do that? It's going to be interesting to see how they handle the next year and a half. There are like 17 scouts at every Bruins game so far in the last 2 weeks, which is nutso.
Yeah, they might have to tear it down.
We'll see, but will they tear it down the way Washington did? Or will they do it the way the Blackhawks did?
I don't think
I think there's one team that has no choice, but to try the long one, and it's Pittsburgh. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble. Frank, to end the second period, Jonathan Toews released a health update on his Instagram. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so as many of you are probably aware, Jonathan Toews, he's been struggling with inflammatory and immune system issues, which has ultimately caused Toews to halt his NHL career. In his update, he told us he traveled to India to take part in I'm going to butcher this, an Ayurvedic detox called a panchakarma, and he was recently there for 5 weeks, said things were trending in the right direction. From that update, I'm very happy to hear that everything's okay with Jonathan Toews. We haven't heard much about him until this update. Obviously, things were very serious if it caused you to halt your NHL career in your early 30s and cut your career short for the time being. You know my feelings on him. I've had strong feelings that as soon as Toews left the Hawks from all these medical issues, that was going to be it for him. I'm still leaning that way. To be sidelined as many years as he has been now, returning is going to be an extremely tall uphill battle. And like I said before, the main thing that he needs to make sure is that his health is number one priority before making any official decisions. But if I had to take a guess right now, number 19's career is probably over. And it ended way too soon. But Jonathan Toews, he's my favorite NHL player. He always will be. I love him differently than I'll love any player in the NHL. I love him differently than I love Bedard. Bedard obviously will have probably statistically better career stats and will probably be I don't know. Jonathan Toews played a different role in the Blackhawks' success over the years. But I'll always love Toews more than I love Patrick Kane, Connor Bedard, any other great Hawks that come in. Will always hold a special place in my heart. I'm just glad to hear everything's good with him and trending in the right direction.
Jonathan Toews was my favorite Blackhawk too. That's my favorite style of player. I know how awesome like the Connor McDavids and Nathan McKinnons and Austin Matthews and Jack Hughes. They're so exhilarating to watch. Patrick Kane. They're the most entertaining. But in terms of like, I kind of decide my favorites by like who helps me win the most. And players like Jonathan Toews are those. Andrei Kopitar of the Los Angeles Kings, Patrice Bergeron when he was with the Boston Bruins. In today's NHL, you're thinking guys like Alexander Barkov, Nico Hischier. There's a reason Hischier is my favorite Devil. He's one of those guys. They're all these types of guys where like, if you show your kid highlights of Patrick Kane or something like that and say, go do that when they're like learning and up and coming, they won't ever make it because they're going to be trying to do something that 99% of the population can do. If you make them watch Jonathan Toews or any of the guys I just named like them, that's how you play hockey. All three zones, smart when you're around the net, battle hard in the corners, make sure you're on the back check defensively, winning your face-offs, being hard to beat to pucks. That's Jonathan Toews. And he had more offensive upside than most of the guys I named, too. He's got more points than people think. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame whenever he... Yeah. And he's got like 500-something assists. That's unbelievable for a guy who was a defensive-minded center first.
And his career was pretty short.
And his career was cut a little short.
He had a good 4 to 5 years left in him, I think. Easily.
100%. And Olympic gold, World Junior gold, World Cup of Hockey championship, 3 Stanley Cups, the Conn Smythe Trophy, the Selke Trophy. He's going to walk into the Hall of Fame. So, it's been really good. Every time I watch Hischier play, I say to God, please make him be as good as Toews. I don't need 3 cups. I'll settle for 1. Like, I really will. But Toews is like the pinnacle of that style of player. Good to hear that Captain Sirius is doing good.
Yep.
So yeah, Frank, let's move it on over to the NFL with a little bit of chat in period number 3. All right, Frank, we're going to roll through this. I want to talk to you about Joe Burrow for a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, is having the best season of any quarterback in the NFL. He really, and he's not even going to be close to MVP because the Bengals stink. They are an atrocious 4-7. They have to really probably run the table if they want to make the playoffs, and even then it would be really hard at 10-7. But they're so bad that they're being flexed out of Thursday Night Football against the Browns next week. One of the best football states in the union, Ohio, getting booted off Thursday Night Football it's the first Thursday night game to ever get booted off, and it's in favor of the Broncos and the Chargers. But I was wondering what your thoughts on Joe Burrow was, even though he is on a team that is just absolutely not helping him out right now. So really quick, 3,000 yards already, 27 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions.
Yeah, he's been great. I feel bad for Joe Burrow. The Bengals are 4-7, and they're probably one of the best 4-7 teams of all time because of Joe Burrow and the way he's playing this season. The Burrow Jamar Chase connection, it's stronger than ever. Still, they're clicking. It's just that the defense is holding them back, and they really can't catch a break. They're scoring a ton, and the games they do score, they choke away because of their defense. So right now, I feel bad for Joe Burrow, but I do believe they're like one of the best 4-7 teams of all time.
There are 2 quarterbacks in the NFL I was worried about having like some kind of Matthew Stafford-y type career where they're really, really good on their team, but they stink and they move somewhere else and have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert, who's got to be thanking the football gods that Jim Harbaugh chose the Chargers because they're really, really good now and they could win the Super Bowl now. But Joe Burrow, he's in danger of that happening. Being an elite player, Matthew Stafford was nothing short of elite on Detroit. But they were terrible. They move him to LA, wins the Super Bowl magically in his first year there. I hope that happens to Burrow if he can't get it done in Cincinnati, but I'd like to see him get it done in Cincinnati.
I don't think they should trade him. I think he can get it done in Cincinnati.
I don't think they should trade him. Of course not.
They made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. With a bad offensive line.
I think that if they could do this, and Joe Burrow's not playing well, he's playing great. He's not playing bad, so I think you don't give up on Joe Burrow. I'd be stunned if they traded him away.
It wouldn't be for like 8 more years. This is nothing with the Matthew Stafford comparison. That was like year 12 of his career that it happened. I'm just saying. I hope it's not terrible season after terrible season wasting Joe Burrow. I just want to see him in the playoffs now, and it's not going to happen this year. And when I'm ranking the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been the best quarterback in the NFL this season, but I think he has to have everybody's respect that he is the best quarterback in the NFL. And then after that, you can argue Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Any of those 3, and then you could throw Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts in there. I still would put the guys I named ahead of them just slightly. You probably have Allen second, but the Bills, so good.
Got what I wanted.
Did it.
All season.
You got it. And the game was a treat too.
It was a treat. Felt good. It felt good, VP. And in 2 weeks, we have another treat. Bills go to Detroit. Whew! Give me Detroit. Give them to me.
Absolutely. Which this weekend, Frank, what are your 3 teams in the NFL or 3 games you're most excited for? Let's run through these in college quickly.
All right, well, I'm going to do Steelers and Browns from last night was a nail-biter, so I'm going to add that one in there. Big rivalry, lived up.
And it's one of the last snow games in NFL history.
Yeah.
And I say that because, Frank, in 10, 15 years, all 32 teams are going to be playing in a dome.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not
sorry to tell you. There's only like 1 or 2 a year. Yeah. Very soon, Frank. Your kids will see snow games on YouTube and go, "Wow!"
And that sucks.
That's so
cool. I think that's cool.
I'm not here to argue that, but they are gone. Like
Cardinals, Seahawks. Another great game. So much riding on this game for both these teams. Divisions up for grabs. Cardinals in first place, but a win here by the Seahawks would put the Seahawks in first place, and they jump the Cardinals. Should be a fun one in the NFC West battle, and then. Come on, Ravens versus Chargers, battle of the Harbaugh brothers. Once again, makes it even that much more special that both are playoff teams having great seasons. There's so much more spice to that game. It's going to be great. I cannot wait. For the NFL, do you want me to do my college games or you want to run through your NFL?
Let me run through my NFL. I'm sorry I didn't give you the tip I got yesterday on the Steelers. I would have told you to bet the Browns because on the road, Mike Tomlin is 1-7 on Thursday night and 0-8 on the road on Thursday night against division rivals.
Yeah, he
So
stinks up.
bad
Browns
on
played good.
Thursday. Yeah, they did. And it was the snow game, so it was fluky. My 3 games this weekend. Very excited for Dallas, Green Bay, or excuse me, San Francisco, Green Bay. San Francisco's beaten Green Bay in the playoffs a couple of times in the last handful of years now with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. So that'll be exciting to see if San Francisco can save their season. I think for all intents and purposes, they will be dead if they lose. So Green Bay, they're probably trying to take San Francisco out. So they're one of their biggest bugaboos isn't in the playoffs at all. I really like the Harbaugh Bowl between the Chargers and the Ravens. That should be a lot of fun to see the brothers go up against each other. And then, Frank, one that I'm kind of low-key excited for a little bit. It might not be the spiciest game of the weekend, but I think it is. Philly versus the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have been real good so far this year, and the game, but they're only 5-5. And there's been some bad luck, some injury. Philly's 8-2. I still think they have a complete dingus as their head coach, so we'll see if he's able to avoid them from getting a big win on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are only taking 3. So it's not like Vegas thinks Philly's going to blow them out of the water just because they have 3 more wins. Shout out to Arizona, Seattle, too. That'll be a good matchup, too, and an important matchup in the battle for the NFC West. I'll just run through my college ones real quick. Then you could just take over for yours, pulling up the games. It's a big weekend, Frank. You got Ohio State playing Indiana. Obviously, the 10-0 Hoosiers are going up against the 9-1 Buckeyes. Indiana's ranked 5, Ohio State's ranked 2. This could end up being a really big matchup. It could influence what happens in the Big Ten championship. It could determine seeding in the college football playoff that's now at 12 teams. So that one will be a lot of fun to watch. Really excited for Notre Dame versus Army to take place tomorrow night. You got Army at 9-0. Notre Dame is 9-1. The one being the one loss of the Northern Illinois Huskies. Go Dogs. And then, of course, you have the Battle of Southern California with UCLA and USC. It doesn't really have many playoff implications or anything like that, but I'm excited to see how those 2 teams play against each other.
Indiana and Ohio State. It's one of mine, too. Undefeated Indiana against Ohio State. Big Ten battle. I got to be honest, I don't think it's going to be close. I think Ohio State's going to wipe the floor with Indiana. But that's why you got to play the game. They could prove me wrong here and prove to everybody. But I do think this is going to be a wake-up call for the Hoosiers, who are 10-0 to start their season. Second game is number 16 Colorado at unranked Kansas. This is Kansas's 4th consecutive ranked opponent in a row. And with their BYU win last week, Kansas has beaten ranked opponents in back-to-back weeks for the first time in program history. Colorado's always explosive. Travis Hunter is going to the NFL next season, and Kansas is looking to beat 3 ranked opponents 3 weeks in a row. Do not count Kansas out. Their defense has been lights out lately. And then finally, we got number 15 Texas A&M at unranked Auburn, battle of the SEC. Auburn has just one win in SEC play this season. These 2 teams always seem to play each other tough. Home team coming away with the victories in their past few meetings. Don't count Auburn out of this one, even how bad their season's gone so far. But this is a must-win for Texas A&M if they have any chance to squeak into the 12-team college football playoff. It's going to be a good game, and I think Auburn could get the upset here.
I am so annoyed at how bad Auburn is and has been for the last couple of years. I miss when Auburn was elite because the Iron Bowl, even this year, I'm excited for the Iron Bowl. I will be locked in on it's the same day as Michigan, Ohio State, as always do. I mean, that weekend is just so sick, but the Iron Bowl, it's missing that juice. Let's get Auburn back to being one of the best college football teams again. We need it. We need it. If I could make any team that sucks good in college football again right now, it would be Auburn. USC would be a close second. So yeah, it's time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week, Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
Frank, the floor is yours. Breaking Bets.
BP, we are on now 5 consecutive weeks of in the positive. Like we've hit at least 2 of 3 or 3 of 3 picks for now 5 weeks in a row. We swept the board last week, going 3 for 3. Now we're soaring over that 50%. We're going to keep it going. 3 picks for you this week, starting with tonight. We got the Buffalo Sabres and the Anaheim Ducks. I talked earlier about the inconsistencies that Buffalo has shown this year, and after coming off their 1-0 shutout victory over the LA Kings, I expect them to lay an egg in this game tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. Ducks are playing good at the moment. They've won their last 3 games. They're playing at home. I can't justify backing the Buffalo Sabres as medium road favorites. It just wouldn't make sense to me, as we'd be passing up a ton of value on Anaheim at home with the way they've been playing. We're going to go with the Anaheim Ducks money line at plus 130 for 2 units. Number 2, we got Texas A&M and Auburn, another game I just talked about. Huge game for Texas A&M. A loss here would ruin their hopes for the college football playoff. Auburn's trying to play spoiler here while also trying to qualify for a bowl game with back-to-back wins this week and next week. These two teams always play each other tough no matter what. No matter how bad these teams have been, always play each other tough. And the home team has gotten the better one in the past few seasons. I think Auburn's going to play spoil Texas A&M's hopes for the college football playoff. I'm going to go at Auburn plus 3.5 at minus 140, bet to win 3 units, which brings us to Sunday night football between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. Eagles are hot right now. They've won 6 games in a row. Rams are battling for first place in their division. This is Sunday night football. I like the Rams to play the Eagles close in this game. The Rams have won 4 of their last 5. They've looked great recently. This team has the offense to pull an upset here. And I think the Eagles are due for a little bit of regression after their 6-game win streak. So I'm going to go with the Rams plus 3.5 at minus 144, bet to win 5 units. And those will be my 3 picks this week. I'm hoping that, we could continue this hot run. We've been great. If you've been tailing, you've been winning. So best of luck if you tail, and let's continue this great stretch.
Very, very good, Frank. Excited for our next show. I don't know if you're going to be available to do it next Friday. On Black Friday, we'll coordinate something to get it done next week, because we got to start previewing what I believe will be 4 Nations face-off rosters are supposed to come out in the beginning of December. So we got to start rolling through some predictions there. Will Connor Bedard make it for Canada? Will Tage Thompson make it for Team USA? All things that are be completely up in the air. And Frank and I will debate it next week and the week after, coming here on Bardown Talking Hockey. So make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network. Make sure you're watching all the football shows. And Frank, great show, my man.
A good show. Good show, VP.
Very, very good. Even though tonight. Absolutely. It's going to be good stuff. We'll see how it goes. Frank, it's been a pleasure. Never a sin. And thank you to everybody who watches the Barroom Network. Follow at the King Bean on Twitter. I am at Vinnie Parisi on Twitter. And as always, thank you for listening.
The button's not working. The button's not working. Unbelievable. How does the button not work? This is unreal. Unreal. I'll try the. This has never happened before. It shows like it's playing. Oh my god! If we had bloopers, this would be top going. Top going.